Hey everybody, welcome back to the Old Man Van Running channel. We're here back in the Old Man Van Cave, the Old Man Van Castle, to give you my first impressions review of, and I know it's a little bit late, it's been around for a while, the New Balance Fresh Foam Vongo version 5 or V5. This is a maximum stability daily trainer from New Balance, the very first New Balance shoe that Old Man Van has reviewed. I know it's been a couple of years, like I said, since this shoe came out, but it's still this model. I haven't heard when this model is going to be updated, and I've been looking for another stability daily trainer for my New York City marathon training coming up in a few weeks, starting in July. So let's get right out on the trail so you can see how this shoe performed in the first couple of runs. Hey everybody, welcome back to Old Man Van Running. We're here again at the Quinnipiac River Linear Trail. Today, it is June 10th, 2023, and I'm here to do my second run in the New Balance Fresh Foam Vongo V5.
Inside lane, missing exits, glued to the pavement. Between the lines, I'll keep my gaze straight ahead as the last stop flies by. No more waiting for the gun to fire, no more walking through revolving doors. I've gone around once, I don't need to go around anymore. Break away, forget your sober case, stop dwelling on.
So I bought these shoes getting ready for my New York City marathon training coming up in a couple of weeks, and I needed a couple more pairs of training shoes. I purchased the Asics Super Blast and also the New Balance Fresh Foam Vongo V5s, and this will be the first New Balance shoe that I have reviewed on Old Man Van Running. So really looking forward to getting out there. Let's see how the Vongo V5 performs. So what are my first thoughts on the Fresh Foam Vongo V5 from New Balance? I think the cushioning in the Fresh Foam Vongo V5 has a little bit more responsiveness than the A6 Gel Cano Light 3. So it's a little more life to it. Not a whole lot, but a little more. It's not as cushioned as, say, the Glycerin GTS 20 or the Gel Cano 29. It's kind of in that middle ground. More cushioning than, say, the Saucony Guide 16 by far. It's a very, very comfortable heel strike. It's smooth without that much of a rocker sensation. The upper fits really, really comfortable. Sockliner's really, really comfortable. Plenty of room in the forefoot. You know, I think it's true to size. Toes can splay. It's not the lightest shoe out there, but it doesn't feel the heaviest either. Just a really nice cruising kind of feel to it. Plenty of support. They don't use a medial post. They've got this denser midsole foam under the medial side, so very comfortable so far. Let's run some more. So I just passed the 2.5 mile mark, about 2.6 right now. Fresh Foam Vongo V5s doing really well. As I mentioned earlier, the cushioning is pretty good. It's not as dead as the Hoka Arahi 6. It's not as boring as the Gel Cano Light 3, so I'm liking it. My feet are very comfortable. Again, the Sockliner is very, very comfortable. and there's plenty of room in this stretchy upper in the forefoot, so really nice. Heel lockdown is good. Smooth ride. Not the quickest in the world, but hey, that's not what this shoe is meant for. So far so good. More to come. So we're back 5 miles, the second run in the New Balance Fresh Foam Vongo V5. It's a really good run. We'll go into the details in the detailed first impressions review in a few moments, but just to summarize this run, great level of support without being overdone. No medial post, which I really like, so that's good. Very smooth ride, although not a pronounced rocker in the front or anything like that. Not a ton of spring, but a little more life. Really good ride. I think this is a shoe that might be the perfect middle ground. Take me to long runs, not give me too much cushioning, right? Allow my feet to work a little bit, but be very comfortable and lessen the amount of foot tiredness. Really like it. Comfortable upper, comfortable midsole. Seem to be breathable enough. Let's go into the details. Okay, we're back. Let's get right into the numbers. The Vongo V5 comes in at $150 US. That's a pretty decent price, right? Most of the stability daily trainers these days come in between $140 and say $160. So that's right smack dab in the middle. So really decent price, New Balance. Next, we have the weight. So most stability daily trainers are up around 10 plus to 11 ounces. This shoe comes in, the Fresh Foam Vongo V5, comes in just a slight tad under 10 ounces at 9.7 ounces in a men's size 9. That equates to, I believe, 275 grams. So pretty decent for a max stability, highly cushioned daily trainer. Now to stack height. In the rear foot of the Fresh Foam Vongo V5, we've got 34 millimeters of midsole. In the forefoot, we've got 26 millimeters of midsole. That gives this shoe pretty much what I consider the ideal heel to toe drop of 8 millimeters. So moving on to the upper. The upper is what New Balance calls its hypo knit upper. It's a very, very stretchy upper. Let's take a look. Very, very stretchy. There are some perforations. It seems to be breathable enough, but the jury's out. When I get out in some really, really hot runs, I'll know a little bit more. It conforms to your feet. It's flexible enough that if your big toe is kind of pushing out on that upper and your little toe is pushing out on that upper, it does stretch. So I think someone who's kind of in between sizes or in between widths and their toes are kind of starting to touch the outside of that upper, and maybe they don't want to go a half size up or to a wider version, I think this shoe will accommodate them. It will mold to their feet. I did feel that it stretched when my toes touched it. However, there was plenty of room in the toe box of this shoe, so I think it's true to size, and I had plenty of room for my toes to display. But if you're someone who's kind of right on that mid-ground between sizes, I think this will still work at your regular size. Talking about overlays, so in the forefoot, there is an internal kind of bumper at the toe. So it's internal, not external there. I didn't feel my toes bumping up against that, but it does provide a little structure in the front of that toe box. Moving on towards the midfoot, they've got these embroidered overlays here. It's kind of neat, kind of veiny looking. The New Balance logo is also an overlay, so that provides some structure in the midfoot. It kind of hugs your midfoot, so it's really comfortable there. It wasn't too narrow, wasn't too wide in the midfoot, very comfortable. So those overlays, they do their job adding a little more structure. There are some reinforcements around the eyelets, nothing overdone at all. Really nice there. Not too much in the way of overlays towards the rear foot. You have a nice structured heel collar. You've got this nice Achilles flare. It's not overdone like in the previous versions of this shoe and in the previous 1080s. It's just a nice, relaxed heel flare. And I didn't find any pressure on my Achilles at all. It was very, very comfortable, and I had a really good lockdown around the foot. Plenty of padding around the ankle and heel collar. Very comfortable, not overdone whatsoever. Now, let's go to the tongue and the laces. First of all, the tongue. The tongue in the New Balance Vongo V5 is not gusseted. No gussets there. It can move around. However, when you lace it down, it doesn't move. Why? It's got significant amount of padding. It's a very, very well padded tongue, and it just stays in place. So it doesn't need a gusset. Why put a gusset there if it's going to stay in place, right? That just adds extra weight. So very, very comfortable when you lace it down over the top of your foot, no undue pressure. Now that brings me to the laces, right? Because that's an important part of that. These laces, like I like them, are not stretchy and they are flat. So just what Old Man Van likes. They work well with that tongue to lace your foot down, keep it locked in. I didn't feel the laces slipping unduly. I always do double knot them, but they stayed put and my foot stayed locked in. Now to the Sockliner. The Sockliner in this shoe is really, really comfortable. I'm going to tell you, the step-in feel of this shoe is one of the most comfortable feelings that I've ever had in a running shoe right out of the box. It's just extremely, extremely comfortable. There's no hot spots anywhere in this shoe. My foot doesn't feel like it's on something that's a little bit abrasive or stiff or something like that. It's just really, really comfortable. Everything about the upper, the Sockliner, the tongue, the heel and ankle collar, the laces, everything for me seems just about perfect. Now to the midsole, this Fresh Foam X midsole material. Very, very, very nice. Not too firm, not too soft. So it's not as firm as the Guide 16, not as soft as the Glycerin GTS 20. It's not as dull as the Gel Kayano Light 3 and the Hoka Arahi 6. Just a perfect middle ground. Got a little bit of responsiveness to it, not too much, but a little bit of responsiveness, more so than the Arahi 6 and the Light 3. And the cushioning is very, very comfortable. Very comfortable. More than enough cushioning for every distance of run that you could possibly use this shoe for. I found that the way they've got it configured, when you heel strike, you get a very nice soft landing. It firms up on the medial side, and we'll get into that in the stability section in a minute. And then as you roll through the gait cycle, it softens up in the forefoot. Just very, very comfortable. Never feels like it's dead, but it's not bouncy either. It's just really, really smooth through the gait cycle. I'm very, very impressed with this. There's a little bit of a rocker here, but not a pronounced rocker, and you don't feel like you're getting pushed off your toes. It's just a very soft landing in the heel and a very smooth roll through the gait cycle. I really, really enjoyed the ride in this shoe. Now to stability. This shoe has a very, very wide base, so that gives some inherent stability. You've got a very wide base in the forefoot, in the rear foot, through the midfoot. You can see it here, how it flares out in the forefoot, all the way to the rear foot. That gives it inherent stability, right? We already talked about some overlays on that upper in the midfoot. Let's talk about the configuration of this midsole and outsole. First of all, you've got a bevel here, which helps with that heel strike. It gives you a smooth heel strike. As you go through the gait cycle, you then get into this denser midsole material right here. It's what New Balance calls their gradient stability technology. Some people are calling it posting. I don't call it posting so much because that to me means you just put a block of plastic there. That's the traditional type of post. But this kind of does the same thing. What they've done is they've injected some firmer pellets into the midsole here to create this denser area of midsole, and it works kind of like a posting. It's just not as intrusive as a post, in my opinion. So as you're going through, you heel strike, you get a nice soft landing in the rear foot. As you come through the midfoot, that denser material right there prevents you from pronating too much or rolling too much inward. And then as you get through the forefoot part of your gait cycle, you've got this wide base that keeps you lined up, even though that midsole in the forefoot is nice and soft. So for me, the stability is just spot on. I never felt like it was overcorrecting me. I never felt like it was intrusive. I never felt like I had this big block of plastic under the inside of my foot. That being said, New Balance markets this as a max stability daily trainer. So, you know what? For whatever reason, if that means somebody who's a severe pronator can wear this shoe, that's great. There is one other thing that I should mention is the sidewalls also kind of ride up a little high here, over here on the medial side, over here on the lateral side. So that's another stability element. But all of these elements are kind of muted, they're not overdone, and the entire package just makes for a very well-controlled, very comfortable shoe. I also think that someone who's not a stability runner could wear this shoe without too much problem, even though it's a max stability daily trainer. Now the outsole, plenty of blown rubber on this outsole. Look at that. Plenty of blown rubber throughout the entire outsole. I don't have any experience with New Balance running shoes up to this point, so I can't tell you whether this outsole is going to hold up really well. I can tell you that after a few runs, I'm not seeing a ton of wear right here. So, you know what, we'll see after 100 miles if it's durable. I haven't heard anything negative about the durability in this outsole, so we'll just have to see how that goes. Now, again, there's plenty of coverage there. However, this shoe does have some flexibility in the forefoot. It is not overly stiff, so that's pretty good. With all that rubber, yeah, there's kind of some flex grooves there, but it still has some flexibility. So that rubber on the outsole is a little bit soft. So let's see if despite that softness, it's still a durable outsole. On to the initial ratings of the New Balance Fresh Foam Vongo V5. I'm going to switch it up this time. Instead of just giving an overall score, I'm going to give some individual scores for different categories, and then I'm going to give an overall score. So first of all, fit and comfort. I'm going to give the Fresh Foam Vongo V5 a score of 9.5 out of 10. Very, very comfortable shoe. Everything about it, I really enjoyed. That step-in feel was spot on, no hot spots, true to size, just really comfortable, fit me perfectly, foot was locked down, no issues whatsoever. Next on to the upper. I'm going to give the Fresh Foam Vongo V5 also a 9.5 out of 10 for the upper, the tongue, and the laces. I really like this upper. This hypo knit upper, very comfortable. I like how they use the overlays in the midfoot to add some structure. Felt very comfortable around my foot. Love the tongue. The tongue is nice and padded. It's non-gusseted, but it doesn't move around. I love those laces, nice and flat, non-stretchy. Give me a good lockdown, really good. The heel and ankle collar, very well padded. A nice, not overdone Achilles flare. Keeps my heel locked in. That heel counter nice and structured. Just a really good job with the upper New Balance. Onto the weight. I'm going to give the Fresh Foam Vongo V5 a score of 9.25 out of 10 for weight. Why? Because it's under 10 ounces. Anytime you get under 10 ounces, that's a really good job. Onto the midsole. I'm going to give the midsole in the Vongo V5, this Fresh Foam X midsole, a score of 9.25 out of 10. Really good score. I think it's a very good mid-ground type of midsole. Not too firm, not too dull, not too soft. Just kind of hits the spot. The only reason I didn't give it a higher score is it's not the bounciest or most responsive midsole material out there, but let me tell you, 9.25 is a great score, and potentially that score could go up after I run in this shoe a little bit more. Onto the outsole. I'm going to give the outsole of the Fresh Foam Vongo V5 a score of 9.25 out of 10, just like the midsole. Why? There's plenty of coverage there, so it's really good from that perspective. There's still some flexibility in the shoe, so it's not really hard rubber, but that's kind of the reason why I'm taking it down just a tad. I'm not sure if the softness in that outsole material will lend itself to it being a durable outsole. So that remains to be seen. It can convince me after 100 miles, we shall see. So far it's holding up, but I want to see it. I want it proven out over 100 miles. On to performance. I'm going to give the Fresh Foam Vongo a score of 9.0 out of 10. Why a 9.0 and not a 9.25, 9.5? It's a daily trainer. It's a max stability daily trainer. It's not a shoe that I'm going to take on the track. It's not a shoe that I'm going to reach for when I'm doing a threshold run or a tempo run, or even a progression run on a long run. It just isn't. This is a shoe that I'm going to wear for those everyday miles, those everyday long miles where I need a lot of support and a lot of cushioning, and that's where this shoe shines. It is not the most versatile shoe out there. It's got a specific purpose. So for that reason, it's a 9.0, and that's not a bad score at all. So overall, the New Balance Fresh Foam Vongo V5 comes in with an initial rating of 9.3 out of 10. Great score. I really do feel like this is going to be one of my go-to shoes for my New York City Marathon training coming up in a few weeks, and I'm looking forward to putting many more miles on this shoe. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you got to this point, I really do appreciate it. Make sure if you like it, you hit that thumbs up button. Make sure if you haven't subscribed already, you hit the subscribe button and hit that notification bell so you'll get notified when more videos are posted. Please leave plenty of comments, always helps the channel. And remember, if you have friends out there that you think might like Old Man Van Running, please let them know so they can subscribe as well. And stay tuned for more shoe reviews from Old Man Van Running. In fact, I've got a first impressions review in the works of the Asics Super Blast, and I also was able to pre-order the 30th anniversary edition of the Asics Gel Kayano series, the Asics Gel Kayano 30. Really excited about getting my hands on that shoe because they've made, from what I hear, some significant upgrades to the Gel Kayano series. And as you know, I wasn't the biggest fan of the Gel Kayano 29, so I'm really excited to get my hands on this updated version, and this is a really cool colorway for the 30th anniversary edition. So I'm really looking forward to getting that shoe as soon as it's released. I should be getting it early July, and I'll move right forward to give you a first impressions review. So as always, thanks again, and remember, lace up your shoes and let's get out on the roads.